If a loved one dies expectedly or unexpectedly, we mourn the loss just the same. But what if the last heartbeat before death is not the final heartbeat within a lifetime? And there is hope for revival in the future to return to the ones you left behind. The process of freezing embryos for couples with infertility challenges has been conducted for decades, with the first successful procedure taking place in the late 1980s. The once highly criticized procedure of freezing embryos and in vitro fertilization has resulted in over 8 million children being born worldwide to date. And it translates to approximately 500,000 births annually. On October 26, 2020, a Tennessee woman gave birth to a baby girl from a 27-year-old frozen embryo. What if new advanced technology allows people never to have to say goodbye to the ones they love? Meaning pausing death was an option and reconnecting again on Earth. Alcor Life Extension Foundation is based out of Scottsdale, Arizona, and was founded in 1972 and is helping people preserve life. Alcor is assisting their members through Cryonics, which pauses the dying process by using sub-freezing temperatures with the intent of restoring good health with medical technology in the future. Alcor has just over 200 patients being cryopreserved and over 1,400 members who have made pre-arrangements upon their death. To qualify, a person must be pronounced legally dead. There are no laws that allow freedom of choice in this matter. A cryonic standby team is waiting near a dying person 1 to 7 days in advance so that they may begin almost immediately after cardiac arrest. Cryopreservation should begin as soon as a dying person is declared legally dead. While the patient is legally dead, they are still early in the dying process with viable cells and organs. Stabilization. Blood circulation and breathing are artificially restored temporarily to protect the brain, so protective medications can be administered intravenously. Next, the patient is cooled in an ice water bath, and their blood is replaced with an organ preservation solution. Transportation. The cooled patient is transported to Alcor's operating room in Arizona. Many members decide to retire or enter hospice care near Alcor for shorter transportation time and a better procedural outcome. Perfusion. Cryoprotectants are perfused into the bloodstream to reduce and prevent freezing. Uncontrolled freezing would damage the blood vessels, brain, and other organs. Perfusion prepares the patient for cryopreservation. Deep cooling. The patient is cooled down to minus 196 Celsius, which cryopreserves the patient in a solid state, protecting the patient from deterioration for thousands of years to come, and the dying process has been stopped. Long-term care. The patient is stored in a vacuum-insulated metal dewar at sub-freezing temperatures using liquid nitrogen. Liquid nitrogen is topped up regularly, and the dewars require no electricity. The patient remains in long-term care until revival becomes possible. The future of molecular nanotechnology will need to advance to reverse the damage associated with the cryonics process. Family can travel to Arizona to the Alcor facility to visit their loved one. Well, see the metal dewar vessel their loved one resides in, that is. The cost for whole-body cryopreservation is approximately $200,000 and $80,000 for neurocriopreservation, which is the brain. Some patients also use life insurance. Alcor also has 30 pets in their care. So how do families move on after their loved one is in a state of cryopreservation in a laboratory in Arizona? What should they do next? Well, Dr. Alan D. Wolfelt, who is a death educator and grief counselor, says there are 6 essential steps in the grieving journey when mourning the death of a loved one. 1. Acknowledge the reality of the death by going to the mortuary, viewing the body, and planning the service. 2nd, move toward the pain of the loss from your head understanding to heart understanding. Healthy grieving is done by expressing your emotions by crying, sobbing, and wailing. 3rd, remember the person who died by shifting the relationship with the one who died from a physical presence to one of memory. Also, share the story of the death itself and the person's life story. By doing this, you will cherish their life forever and continue sharing their stories. 4. Develop a new self-identity. This is the difficult process done at a funeral, which is a social gathering venue to establish your new identity. And others attending the funeral acknowledge your new role. For example, a person who has lost a parent, a child, or a sibling, and funeral attendees want you to know that they still care about you. Where if no funeral were to take place, the social group you are connected to doesn't know how to relate to the person whose identity has changed, and that grieving person may become socially abandoned. Having the support of friends and family surround you at a service helps us realize that we literally still exist. Furthermore, this is where the comment, "When he died, I felt like a part of me died too," comes from. 5. Search for meaning. When a loved one dies, we often have questions as to why they died, why this way, why now, why does it hurt so much, what happens after death, how do I heal? Part of the grief journey is to explore these questions. This doesn't mean we will get all of our answers, but it's important to think and feel things through. Dying is a natural and unavoidable process, and North Americans tend not to acknowledge this. A funeral helps us search for meaning in the life and death of a person who has died, as well as our own lives. The act of a funeral demonstrates that death is important to us and for the living to go on and living as fully and as healthy as they possibly can. 6. Receive ongoing support from others. Dr. Alan D. Wolfelt goes on to say that funerals make a social statement. Come support me, now and in the future. And whether we realize it or not, those who decide not to have a funeral are saying, don't come support me. Dr. Wolfelt says these steps are crucial because we have become a mourning avoiding culture, and as a society we must return to the ritual of funerals so we can benefit from the grief healing process funerals provide. It's important to mourn the loss of a loved one after death so we can move forward. People we love and have built attachments with are not easily forgotten after they leave our earthly lives. If we mourn well, we can continue living well. A funeral service or a celebration of life is how you do that and honor the life that has passed on. A ritual of a service is essential for the ones left behind grieving. Maybe we aren't supposed to live forever, and it's okay to let go. As author Jamie Anderson said, grief is just love with no place to go. What are your thoughts? Thanks for watching and stay safe and well.